Hi guys, welcome to another video. For those of you guys that are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so grateful to have you here. My name is Dr. Elise Tercy and I practice functional medicine here in New York. For those that are veterans, if you will, welcome back. Today we're talking about a topic that's been showing up a lot in practice or a lot in kind of my daily life for people that are coming in to see me with these concerns. And I wanted to speak a little bit to this and support you guys through this process because I know once you hear what the topic is, you're going to be like, yep, I totally resonate with this. So stay tuned if you're interested to learn more about holistic health and what the topic of today is. We're talking about anxiety, stress, anxiety, and a little bit of depression. We all know someone or have struggled with anxiety disorders, and really there's not a lot of support for this except the conventional route, which is oftentimes pharmaceuticals. And I understand how many people don't really want to go down that route, especially if they're dealing with younger people. Maybe they're dealing with their daughter or their son who's maybe 14 or 15, who's very anxious. Maybe they're dealing with someone a little bit older. I mean, age really doesn't have anything to do with it because anxiety can affect all of us, but there's a lot of resistance when it comes to the classic conventional anti-anxiety medication. There is a little bit of a stigma around taking anti-anxiety medication, and it doesn't really leave people with any options other than take the medication, which a lot of people aren't so inclined to do or don't feel comfortable doing, or suffer. There's really not a lot in between from a spectrum thought process. And I want to share with you guys a little bit from a functional medicine philosophy, how we interpret anxiety, how we support the body through any type of anxiety disorder, and kind of the little specifics that we want to address if someone is coming in with anxiety. So stay tuned. We'll talk about 3 common causes of anxiety disorders and stress and panic. And I have notes here, so excuse me if I'm looking down, but I just want to make sure that I'm sharing all of the things that you guys will find applicable. HPA dysfunction. If you are on this channel, if you know me, you know all about HPA dysfunction to some degree. And that is just a fancy way of saying my brain and a master gland in my brain is connected to my thyroid, to my adrenal glands, and to my ovaries or my testes. It basically is a looping system. All of us have this. If you're walking on earth, if you're alive, you're breathing, you have an HPA axis. Really what that is governing is how you feel from an emotional perspective. And this specific HPA axis, I'll share with you guys what it stands for in a second, but it's really governing how you feel with your mood. It does tons of other things as well, but when someone's coming into me, and like I said, the theme of the week has been really people are coming in saying, I'm feeling horrible, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling wired but tired, I'm feeling like I'm having panic attacks, I'm not sleeping through the night, I'm feeling jittery, I'm feeling anxious, I feel like I want to crawl out of my skin. If any of those things are resonating with you, then you definitely want to check your HPA axis, which means check the organs involved with keeping the nervous system calm. The organs that are involved in this in particular are the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, the thyroid, the adrenal glands, the ovaries for the female, and the testes for the male. The reason these are the organs that are involved with anxiety is because the hormones that they produce have a direct connection on how we feel. And if we're overproducing hormones or underproducing hormones, it can change the way we feel in terms of calm or ramped up or hyped up. Let's talk, for example, about the thyroid. The thyroid gland, it is one of the master glands that's involved in metabolism. It's also a gland that's involved with panic and stress. For people that are having thyroid dysfunction, they oftentimes feel a lot of anxiety coming up for them. The reason why is the thyroid produces hormones that keep us calm. The thyroid produces something called thyroxine and triiodothyronine, which are just 2 different derivatives of thyroid hormone. And always remember, guys, if you saw my last video, which I'm hoping you did, always remember that there is a fine balance between the body, not too much, not too little. Whenever someone's coming in and they're saying, I feel anxious, I'm having panic attacks, I'm having bouts of just nervousness, I'm feeling like I can't fall asleep, it's disrupting my work schedule. It's disrupting my sleep. It's starting to affect my relationships. I'm snippy, I'm snappy. If those are things that are resonating with you, definitely get your thyroid gland checked. And the way to do that is through blood work. A lot of what I'm going to share with you guys in terms of how do we know someone's dealing with these things is through lab confirmation. We're able to look in the lab work to tell us, do you have enough thyroid hormone? And we want to be comprehensive with it. With that being said, we want to be sure we're looking at T3 and T4, both free and total versions, and also the antibody load to the thyroid. We want a whole picture. We want the whole picture of the thyroid. What happens is that when one of the thyroid hormones goes out of alignment, the tissues that receive or recept the thyroid hormone aren't getting their signal. And the body says, where's my hormone? Like, you didn't give me what I need. And it changes the homeostasis or the balance of other hormones in the body as well. So always check the thyroid, which is part of the HPA axis. The next organ that we want to look at, the next player in the game when someone's saying, I'm really struggling with anxiety or depression even, is the adrenal glands. We all know about them. I feel like we've all heard about the adrenal glands in some capacity. Their job is to balance out water balance in our body. Okay, so water, salt balance in the body. Their job is also to help us keep inflammation down. So by default, our adrenal glands, I feel like they get a little bit of a bad rap in the sense that people are like, oh, my adrenal glands are out of balance. And we kind of have a negative, like, oh, adrenal glands are the problem. They're actually, none of the organs are problems by themselves. We have them and they're all helpful to us, but they're helpful to us only when they're balanced. So the adrenal gland by default, it's helping you. It's producing your natural body's anti-inflammatory cells, your natural prednisone. So if someone gets a shot because they had a shoulder issue, they get cortisone injections, prednisone injections. They're taking prednisone daily. They're taking topical creams that have hydrocortisone in them. It's anti-inflammatory. The interesting thing is your body naturally produces its own through something called cortisol. But if imbalanced, the cortisol basically gets a little bit disturbed, the balance of the cortisol, we can start to feel problems from it. So cortisol levels typically that are too high often will create anxiety disorders. Not really low, although low can cause some problems. It's usually typically a little bit higher that people start to say, I'm feeling the effect of cortisol. Think of the adrenal glands as adrenaline, amped up. That feeling when you slam on your brakes, in the car and you feel that like wave, that surge of energy, that's adrenaline. The adrenal glands have a connection to producing or to the signaling that allows us to produce adrenaline. So if they're not balanced, imagine how we might feel. Really, really anxious. The cortisol, if it's not balanced, it does disrupt our sleep cycle. It interrupts our sleep cycle, and it also interrupts our ability to stay alert and awake throughout the day. So the hours that we should be awake, we're usually dozing off. The hours that we should be sleeping, we're typically staying awake. So that's another one here. The ovaries also can create a little bit of anxiety because what happens is that our body, for females in particular, we do produce estrogen. We produce different derivatives of it. They're helping us to keep our mood down. And so each hormone, think of it like a player in a game, in a soccer game. Each player has a role, but together those roles diverge and create the game. That's the same thing. So when we have imbalances in our sex hormones, like our estrogen levels or our testosterone levels, we end up having a lot of anxiety. And a lot of women that are not menstruating, or women that they go through their birth control packs where you're supposed to take a week off, they're just burning kind of through their packs. They don't allow a bleed. They often find that they're feeling very anxious. The menstrual cycle has a very strong connection to anxiety disorders. And so if the menstrual cycle is out of range because there's an underlying hormonal condition, that will create anxiety disorders for us. Estrogen, testosterone, DHT, cortisol, thyroid hormones, everything in the midline of the body. Okay, those are more of the hormones that are involved with the HPA. There's other ones, but these are the main ones. For men, it's more of the testosterone. We need certain amounts of good, healthy testosterone. A really good analogy, I guess a lot of people might kind of resonate with this, is that imagine, we all have heard about, roid rage for people that are taking exogenous hormone therapy, like injectable testosterone or injectable anti-estrogen blockers or estrogen blockers in nature. What happens is the rage that they feel or the temperament change that they feel is coming from hormonal shifts. So you don't really have to be a rocket scientist to understand, wait a second, the hormones are shifting and the mood is shifting. That can happen for us as well. That can happen for us as well. A lot of these hormones that I'm talking about have a direct connection to GABA and GABA receptors, which GABA is the body's most anxiolytic or calming or soothing hormone. GABA aminobutyric acid, very calming, very, very soothing to the central nervous system. And the hormones that I'm sharing from the thyroid, from the adrenal glands, from the ovaries, from the testes, do have connection to the GABA receptors. So there again, always go back to that soccer game. Something else that you guys might not be thinking about, but is really important for anxiety disorders, is digestive issues. If you are someone that has a digestive issue, which I want to talk about, what does that mean? Because people are like, well, what's a digestive issue? We think we have to have celiac or Crohn's. No. Digestive issues, really the issue piece, if you will, is coming from the fact that there's an imbalance of stuff happening in the gut. And they can show up as bloating, they can show up as belching, they can show up as bile reflux, acid reflux, tightness in the esophagus. They can show up as I'm not moving my bowels consistently, or I'm having loose stool. So either the fluctuation of too much, too little, or anything in between. A lot of belly bloat. These are all considered digestive issues. High cholesterol, you actually could think of that a little bit as a digestive issue because the liver is very involved in digesting your food. The liver has two functions, both immune. It's a lymphatic organ, so it's involved with the immune system, and it's involved with the digestive system. So it helps us to process fat in particular. If someone has irritation with their liver and their gallbladder, they don't process fat as easily. So when they eat fatty foods, they usually burp them up frequently, or they have a lot of loose stool associated with that. Those are all going to be considered digestive issues. The interesting part of the digestive issue is that if you ask somebody, are they anxious? And you ask them, do you have any gut stuff going on? I would say 10 out of 10 times the answer is yeah, they do. They're like, yeah, I do have some stuff that I definitely can say is going on. There is a very strong connection between the bacteria in the stomach, in the gut, in the bowels, I should say, having a direct connection to anxiety and stress. So we really like certain species, we really like certain critters to be present in our gut because they keep us calm. The critters that are really beneficial for the digestive system are probably a lot of the critters that we know about from probiotic. We've probably all heard that probiotics are really helpful for our gut. They are. There's a time and place for them. They're not always the first thing to put into a digestive system that's dealing with SIBO. If someone has SIBO, you don't just want to throw probiotic into the digestive system, whether it's methane dominant or hydrogen dominant. But probiotic on average, as a general rule of thumb, is helpful for the digestive system because the specific species in the category of probiotic are very therapeutic to the bacteria, or very therapeutic to the body in general, and keep us calm. So the critters that we like, that we should have in our gut colonizing us, are Bifidobacter. Okay, so Bifidobacter is great. Lactobacillus and Lactococcus. Those are like the three major categories of critters or organisms, you can think of them as probiotic, that have positive effects or very good, strong benefits on our mood and our well-being. So when they've isolated, and they've done studies where they look at someone that's having depression or anxiety, and they look at their colony of their gut, they look at who's living in their gut. They have said, wow, these guys are really commensal, they're helpful. These bacteria, for whatever reason, seem to be causing an upregulation of some of the anxiety hormones. So gut health is another really big important piece of why someone might feel anxious or might feel calm. And that's something I'm just really want to highlight. I just really want to highlight that for you guys, because there is this notion of there's no options, right? It's either take Klonopin or take a benzodiazepine, take Xanax, or do nothing. That's kind of like the two levels of the coin. And it's really not sufficient. Both of those are really not sufficient answers. Would it be a better option for someone to say, let me look at my gut health and see if there's any bacteria that need to be balanced out? Let me take a look at my thyroid. Let me take a look at my adrenal glands. Let me take a look at the HPA axis. Let me take a look at my hormones. Those are all going to be imperative factors for why we have anxiety or not. So there's other options. I want you guys to really take the point home that if you're watching this and you're saying, I'm struggling with anxiety, I'm struggling with what you're sharing, and you feel like there's no options, please know that there are. Please know that there are. There's all these avenues that we can take a look at. It becomes a hormone game at the end of the day. Hormones are a big piece of this, as are bacteria and critters. So those are some other things that we can do. The third most common cause of anxiety and depression is nutrient deficiencies. Nutrient deficiencies. When we talk about nutrients, we're talking about vitamins, minerals, and cofactors. Vitamins are things like B1, B2, B5, B6, B7, vitamin C, zinc, selenium, glutathione, potassium, magnesium. All of these things are really important for anxiety. A lot of us know that magnesium helps. There's a lot of research around magnesium. Now there's 12 different types of magnesium: magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate, magnesium threonate, magnesium oxide. There's all different versions of magnesium, and they all have different components and different things that they work on, different areas. So not all magnesium is created equal. Not everybody finds benefits to saying, oh, I took magnesium and it helped me. Okay, there's different attachments that we use with magnesium, and all of them have a little bit different influence on the body. But the point is that we have heard of that. Most of us are like, yeah, I've heard that magnesium can help me with my stress, right? I've heard that taking magnesium can help me with my sleep. That's very true. Very, very true. But other nutrients are also involved in this process as well. So the vitamins and the minerals, if someone's lacking they definitely can feel very anxious, because these are like the core, cells, if you will, the core compounds that are allowing us to do things. So they're allowing us to build tissue. They're allowing us to grow hair. They're allowing us to stay calm. They're working directly on our cells. And if we don't have enough of the vitamins and the minerals, of course we're going to feel anxious. Of course we're going to feel anxiety, even depression. So in particular, B vitamins, there's a whole family of B vitamins. So the B complex in particular, which is all of them together, methylated forms of B vitamins are very therapeutic for anxiety and stress relief. They're also really good. A lot of us know about them for prenatals. B vitamins in particular help support the adrenal glands. So if someone's saying, I do have cortisol imbalance, I am spewing DHEA, I am spewing adrenaline and norepinephrine and all these things in my body, I'm over dumping cocktails that I'm sitting in, we can use some of the vitamins and the minerals to help balance out the effects of some of that stuff. And in particular, the adrenal glands love B vitamins. They need a certain amount of B vitamins to help themselves regulate. Just like the thyroid. The thyroid needs selenium. The thyroid needs iodine. Those are all nutrients. Those are all vitamins and minerals. You can think of them in that category. If we don't have enough stuff, the organs don't have enough stuff to carry out their function. So in and of itself, we care about that stuff. Now, little buyer beware, if you will, little caveat here. Just because you take supplements doesn't mean you own them. And what that means is just because you put something in your body, so let's just say you're watching this video and you're like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to buy a multivitamin. If you have digestive imbalances or digestive issues, you might not be absorbing the vitamin fully. You might not be absorbing 100% of it. You might not use the vitamins and the minerals. So the point is that you just don't throw vitamins and minerals into the body. You have to address the underlying issues, because these vitamins and minerals support all of the organ systems, but we have to make sure that other things are in balance. So the whole point, you guys know this by now, that your body is really, really affected by homeostasis, that when we veer too much this way, we've got to come back. When we veer too much this way, we've got to come back. So the point is that if you think that you're going to just out vitamin or out supplement your digestive issues to give you relief with anxiety, it doesn't work that way. It's so much more complicated than that. So the root is, of course, getting to the digestive issues. Now, of the three, so I know we talked about three common causes. We talked about HPA axis dysfunction. We did also talk about gut health, gut dysbiosis, and the benefits of bacteria and colonizations in the gut. Now we're talking about vitamin and nutrient deficiencies. People often ask me which one is more important, like which of those three are going to be the most important thing for me to do, like which one should I focus on first? There is an order of how to support this stuff. There's definitely an order of how we balance this stuff out, but they're all equally important. There's no like one that's more important than the other. They're all across the board equally important, because when you start to look at how everything works together, you realize, oh, that's very connected for this reason. Oh, we need B vitamins to build this cell. Oh, we need thyroid hormone to put this there. Oh, we need, bifidobacter to do this thing, to regulate GABA transcription factors. So there really is no which one comes first. They all come first. It's kind of like the debate of the chicken and the egg. I don't know which came first. I think the egg came first, but anyways, back to the point of this, that we want to look at everything across the board from those are the three major players, if you will, the three major things that if someone's saying, I am depressed, I'm very, very anxious, I don't know where it's coming from, we look at those factors. I didn't really talk about blood sugar support. Blood sugar, insulin's response is another really important factor for how we feel, that if someone's having diabetes or pre-diabetes where their blood sugar levels are not being controlled, they can feel anxious. So insulin by default has a direct connection to heart arrhythmias, heart palpitations. So if someone's definitely having some problems balancing their blood glucose, that will also create a little bit of anxiety for them. Insulin, lipase, amylase, some of the cells that help balance out how we use food in particular, that's another factor. I'd put that as 4, but that's kind of like, that's a little bit below the rungs of the major things, because usually if someone's saying I'm anxious, not sleeping, have awful digestive health, that needs to be addressed, all of that stuff first. But there's definitely a blood sugar connection. The food that you eat is super medicinal. It's not just, we eat because it tastes good. We eat because it provides our cells with nutrients. It provides our organs with what they need to function so that we feel well from a chemical, physical, and emotional perspective. I hope that you guys found some value to this. If you are dealing with anxiety, please know there's options for you outside of just taking pharmaceutical drugs, which I understand is not always the most loved option, okay? Get yourself connected with a functional doctor, get yourself tested, do some comprehensive metabolic testing, some comprehensive lab work, look at everything from an entire picture, fix the gut imbalances, support the digestive system, get those vitamins and minerals. Best way to do it is obviously working with someone, because they can kind of guide you and help you through what comes first. How do we do this process together? But there are options out there for you guys. Okay, I will see you guys in the next video. If you have any comments or questions about anxiety or want to know a little bit more, please feel free to connect with me. I'll link everything down below in the bio. And also, if you like this content, if you're finding that you're like, this is really great, I'm loving this, be sure to click the subscribe button. That way you can get all of the notifications for when I post new videos and stay up to date with everything holistic health and wellness. So give it a like, give it a subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.